Yes, so hello, welcome back everyone. My name is Jatin and welcome to PyNet Labs. So in this webinar today, we are going to talk about the wireless network foundations. So basically we are going to see each and everything related to your wireless networks. And whenever we are talking about the wireless network, so we have a lot of things in mind. So let's get started with our webinar, which is wireless network foundations. And in this webinar, we are going to start with each and every fresh topic, like, with the scratch, we are going to discuss everything. So without wasting any time, let's get started with some basics. So the first thing we need to discuss is the wireless LAN fundamentals. So if we are talking about the wireless LAN fundamentals, guys, so the first thing come in our mind is like we need to have a good understanding between the wired networks versus we can say the wireless networks. So guys, when you see the differences between the wired network and the wireless networks, so basically if we are talking about the wired networks, just let me write down wired networks. So in the wired networks, as we all know that wired networks are connected via cables, right? So cables are used there, or we can say wires are used there because this is a kind of wired network, right? And the data transfer, if we are talking about the data transfer in the wired network, is always in the form of electrical signals, right? Because over the wires, whatever the data we are traversing from one side to the another side or from one place to another, that data will be processed in the form of electrical signals, right? So the IEEE standard for wired networks is 802.3, and this is defined as the wired Ethernet. And in order to provide the connectivity, like if we are talking about the wired connectivity, so we need some some sort of things like cables. We need the switches, routers, and some crimping tools are there, and a lot of things are there. It's like cable testers we require, and so many tools like this we always need in the wired network. So this is like basically, as we all know about the wired networks. Coming to the next part, like which is the topic for today's webinar, which is your wireless network. So we will see in the wireless networks, so whenever we are talking about the wireless network, so we always communicate with some medium, like whatever the data we are making sure that which is traveling from one side to another side, it's something that it is using some medium, and there would be some transmission medium to make sure that the data traversing would be there. So with the wireless networks, we need some radio frequencies. So I'm simply writing RF and radio frequencies. So radio frequencies are required to make sure that there will be wireless connectivity. If you will look the IEEE standard, so the IEEE standard reserved is 802.11 for your wireless networks, like for wires and for standard of the wireless. And no need of wired signals here, like we don't need the electrical signal to travel over there. And apart from that, when we are talking about the wireless networks, mobility is one of the best factor when it comes to the wireless network. Let me explain this mobility factor with an example. For example, this is your device. Let's say this is your router, and to this router, this is your router, and you have connected two computers like this. This is your PC1, this is your PC2. So if you will see PC1 and 2, they are connected with this router. So you don't have the mobility factor in the wired network because they are connected with the wires. So like on the same location you need to work. You cannot go here and there inside your organization. But if you are connected wirelessly, let's say one more device is connected to your router using some wireless signals. So you will see that this mobile can go like any of the place, but that should be in the close proximity to the wireless device, right? So this is what includes the mobility factor, that you are allowed to go here and there inside your infrastructure, but make sure you always stay within the range of that particular wireless network. So whenever, like, this is all basic things about wired versus wireless network. More in detail we will look out like with the deployment models, and so many things are there. So some we can say wireless devices we will be talking about in this session. So like we are going to discuss two wireless devices. The first we have is the access points, and the next we are going to discuss is your WLC Wireless LAN Controllers. So like this access point is nothing but they simply act like a switch which are allowed to connect multiple devices. And when it comes to the wireless LAN controller, these are used to manage the access points. Like for example, we can take a scenario like this here. So if you will see, you have some access points here, like this is your access point 1, this is your access point 2, this is your access point 3, and to all these 3 access points you have various devices connected. Let's say here you have 10 devices connected to this one access point, here you have 5 devices connected, and here you have 30 devices connected. Now all the wireless devices are connected with these access point, and these access point are connected to your WLC. So we can say that there will be one WLC depending upon the requirement, or there can be multiple WLCs, wireless LAN controllers, right? So this is all about your basics and foundations about the wireless networks. Coming to the next part, we are going to discuss what are the types of wireless networks. So let's write the heading, types of wireless networks. So if we are talking about the wireless networks, the first type of wireless network is wireless local area network. The second one we have is the wireless personal area network, PAN. The third one we have is the wireless main area network, or we can call as metropolitan area network. And the last we have is wireless wide area network. So basically we are going to talk about this wireless local area network in this entire webinar. Wireless personal area network, which you already know, which is in a very close proximity, like if you have connected your mobile device with your laptop using some Bluetooth or using some mobile hotspot like that with some personal USB tethering kind of connections. So that will be considered as the personal area network. Whereas if you are talking about the wireless metropolitan area network, so there is a protocol which is known as WiMAX. So this WiMAX is something, it is having the standard of 802.16. So you can go in the RFC and you can read about this more in detail. So this is a kind of protocol which is used over the wireless metropolitan area networks. So like we are not going to talk about this wireless metropolitan area network, but yes, the major thing we need to discuss here is your wireless local area network. So guys, as we know that we have discussed two wireless devices, which is your access point and your wireless LAN controller. So in the wireless session, we are only talking about the LAN. So if I am going to define this wireless local area network, so we can say it links two or more devices. So simply I'm writing here, it links two or more devices using some wireless communication. Using some wireless communication to form a local area network within the limited area, and it approximately cover up to 100 meters, or depending upon the band and ranges which you have configured. That too we will also see in the practical sessions. So now we are going to talk about the wireless devices. So if we are talking about the wireless devices, we have some devices, like we can say the first we have is the access point. So if we are describing this access point, so we can say it is simply act like a, we can say it works like a switch, like the working of switch. So it is used to connect multiple devices in the network. Then the next we have is the WLC, which is wireless LAN controller. So this WLC, like whenever we are talking about this wireless LAN controller, so it is going to manage all the access points basically. Then the third we have is your wireless NIC cards. So wireless NIC cards are basically used in today's laptops, because in today's laptops you will see that we are not getting RJ45 ports, because we don't need to get the wired connection inside the devices. So that is one of the reason we are not getting the wired NIC card in the laptops, but we are still getting the wireless NIC cards here. So just to give you a simple example, I can draw a topology like this. So let's say there are some devices, like this is some PC, this is one PC, this is one more PC we have, and all these PCs are wirelessly connected to 3 access points. Let's say this is your access point 1, this is your access point 2, this is your access point 3, and all these 3 access points, they are connected to one WLC here. So we can say this is your WLC Wireless LAN Controller. So this is how the entire topology works like, and this is going to provide, this wireless LAN controllers are going to provide a centralized management for all the access points in the network. Whereas whenever we are talking about the wireless access points, so they just simply provide a centralized location for the connect all the devices in the wireless domain, right? So these are some basic differences between your wireless devices as per the discussion. Now guys, there are 2 types of topologies as well. Topology, we all know that as per the basic knowledge, I think you must be aware about the topologies. So like when we were discussing the topologies, like it is every network engineer knows that what exactly topology is, something with like a kind of infrastructure layout, or we can say it can be physical or it can be logical. But there are 2 modes there. So the wireless signals can be, just let me write here, wireless signals can be, we can say it can be ad hoc, and the second we can say it can be in the infrastructure mode. So in the ad hoc mode, like no access points are needed. So I'm simply writing no APs are needed here. And when it comes to the infrastructure mode, like we need the access points. So access points are needed. Like if you will see, if you have brought a broadband connection at your home, and like in that case you will see that only one single router is there at your home and you don't have any access point, but so that means that is a kind of ad hoc mode. But when it comes to having some access points in the networks, then it is something like you need to see how exactly these access points are going to work in our as per the requirement which we are using. So now coming to the next part guys, we have some wireless LAN terminologies. Wireless LAN terminologies. So in this wireless LAN terminologies guys, so basically like whenever we are discussing the wireless LAN terminologies, so we can say that that these wireless LAN terminologies are a lot of things to discuss in this wireless LAN terminologies. But the thing is, what exactly as per the wireless concepts, the major and important things we are going to discuss as of now here. So basically the first thing about the wireless LAN terminology which you all need to know is considered as your SSID. So it stands for Service Set Identifier. So whenever we are talking about this SSID, so it is nothing but basically the name of your network. So we can say if you are connecting to some Wi-Fi, so by the name of the network you are going to identify that this is basically the name of the network. So in technical terms, that SSID is known as the name of network, we can say. Then like after explaining this SSID guys, we have another terminology which is known as service sets. So whenever we are talking about the service sets, so we can say it is a group of devices. So group of devices, we can say all the wireless devices which are connected within the same SSID. So I'll show you this service set exactly in a practical way. So let's go on my Google Chrome screen, or we can go on the Edge browser here, and we are going to write 192.168.1.1. So as you can see now, I do have an Excitel connection here. So I'm getting some service name, username and password here. So I'll click on back login here, and now it is asking me for the password. So Excitel is my username. So I'm going to write my password. Now we are going to get login inside. So now we are inside my router, which is my home router. And when you will see in the user information and in the local area network information, so you can see these are all the devices which are connected to my SSID. And my SSID name is, you can see here, it is showing you that searching is the name of my network. So that means the SSID of my network is searching, and all these devices are connected to the same SSID, right? So this is what basically known as your service sets. Now, you must configure all the devices and access points in a service set to use the same SSID. And you know, there are some types of service set as well if we are going to talk more in detail. So let's say we have types of service sets. So basically guys, we have some, three types of service set. The first one we have is like, which is IBSS. IBSS means Independent Basic Service Set. So let me write Independent Basic Service Set. The next we have is the Basic Service Set, which is BSS. So we can write Basic Service Set. And the third, which is your ESS. It is considered as your Extended Service Set. So we will see, like with an example, how these service sets are different with each other, and what exactly is the difference between this three types of service sets here. So now we will see the examples. So let's talk about the first, which is ISS. It's IBSS, Independent Basic Service Set, which we have written previously on the next slide. IBSS. So what exactly this IBSS, and we have some Basic Service Set BSS as well, and the last one we have is ESS. So what is this Extended Service Set? So whenever we are talking about this IBSS, basically, we don't have any access point in this kind of scenario. We have some devices like which are directly connected with each other using some wireless signals. And whenever it comes to the basic service set, we have one access point here. So it is the mandatory need of the access point is there. The access point is like, then the access point is further connected to the wireless clients here using some wireless signals. So this is a kind of scenario which we talk in the basic service sets. Then we have the extended service set. So again we have a access point here. Let's say this is your access point. This access point is connected to some devices using wireless signals like this. You have connected, let's say 4 devices. So all these devices are connected using some wireless signals, and there is one WLC which is going to manage that access point. And you can also say that if you have one or more access points inside the network, and that WLC is connected with 2 access points, and that WLC is managing both of these access points, right? So this is how we are going to define all these service sets here, like 3 types of service sets according to the ease of use. Like in the IBSS we have no access points, whereas in BSS we have simply one access point which is connected to the wireless devices. Or in extended service set we can say that we have more than 1 or 2 access points which are connected to the wireless LAN controller. And this is how exactly we are going to define all these things. So this is all basically, guys, we can say some introduction part to your basic wireless configurations. Now coming to the next part, if we are talking about the core wireless implementation. So let's talk about the wireless implementation as well, like how we are going to implement the wireless networks. So now we will see some lab scenarios, but before checking out the lab scenarios, we need to check the theoretical part and we need to understand the terms first of all. So let's write wireless implementation here. So if we are talking about this wireless implementation, guys, so we will see that whenever we are going to configure any wireless router, so basically what are the things we need to configure over the wireless device, and what are the basic configurations which we must be aware, like whenever we are using some wireless signals. And apart from that, we can say, like if you are talking, like there are various wireless devices if you are talking, so we can say that router is there, some servers are there, or we can say access points are there, WLCs are there. So depending upon the configurational part, we will see. So let's take an example of a wireless router. So if we are going to configure a wireless router, so we are going to see how we are going to configure the wireless router and what are the practical things which you need to understand about configuring a wireless router. So guys, whenever we are going to configure any wireless router, the first thing which should come to our mind is the name of the network. So we can say, not writing the name of the network, so I'm writing the technical term which we have already discussed, SSID, service set identifier, the name of the network, and maximum 32 characters you can use as for the network name, which is your SSID. So once you have configured the SSID, then your router, like if your device is a router, then you need to define the next thing, which is your LAN subnet. So what exactly this LAN subnet is? So in this LAN subnet, we have some information which we need to understand. The first thing we have is the IP address of the device. So IP address. And then IP address is what? Basically the gateway of your router. Like all the devices has their own gateways, right? That gateways are going to act as entry exit points inside the network. So that IP address will be there, and if you have the requirement of DHCP, so DHCP can be configured on the devices, but DHCP is by default enabled on the wireless devices, on wireless routers especially. And I will also verify you the same thing which I am writing here over the packet tracer, so you can see that DHCP is by default enabled. So these are the two things which you need to configure. Now coming to the next thing, like coming to the third part. The third part is pretty much very important. We can say we have some WAN interface here. So over this WAN interface, guys, we have some three things which your wireless routers are going to support. So we can say it is all about the public IP, which your internet service provider is going to provide you. So the first thing here is, like if your ISP has assigned you some dynamic IP, that might be a chance that your ISP has configured dynamic IP, or the ISP had configured some static IP. And the last option we have is triple PoE. So this triple PoE is nothing but we call it as point to point over Ethernet. So basically these are the 3 points which you need to understand while configuring the WAN interface, and whatever I am writing here on this slide. So this wireless implementation part is basically the lab session for you all, but we need to understand the concept first of all. And I will verify each and every statement which I am writing here on the slide over the packet tracer, that how the WAN interface needs to be defined, how exactly the LAN subnet needs to be defined, what exactly the SSID would be there. And one more thing, the most important part, guys, like the fourth I'm writing with the red one. So we can say network address translation. So netting is also enabled. So we can say is by default enabled on the devices. So now after this, these are some basic configurations guys which we will see on the wireless router. So to check all these configurations, we are going to be on the packet tracer. So let me share my packet tracer screen and we will see over the packet tracer. So here is my packet tracer. First of all, I am going to show you something. I am going to take a normal router and I am going to take one PC here. And I am going to connect this normal router with this PC. And we are going to fast forward the time. So as you can see, the port is done by default in the down state. So I'm going on the wireless router and I am going to say no, enable configure terminal, interface we have gig00, and I'm going to write IP address, and let's say no IP address I'm assigning. Let's say I'm simply writing no shutdown. So I have turned on the port. Now if you will go in the PC and you will go in the desktop and you will select IP configurations, and when you will select the DHCP option here, so see, are we going to get the IP from the DHCP server or not? So we'll not get the IP because like it is saying DHCP field, API is being used here, because this is not a wireless device which is enabled with the, we can say with some wireless by default DHCP, but we are going to see the wireless router. For that you need to go here in the packet tracer on the wireless devices. And in the wireless devices, this is your wireless router. Now let's click on this wireless router and let me show you the structure of this wireless router. So if you will see how over there, like there are 4 yellow ports and 1 port which is in the blue color. So the blue port is representing to your WAN port, like which we have discussed here, this WAN interface where we are going to assign the dynamic IP, static or triple PoE connection. And whereas these all your blue ports are simply yellow ports are simply going to refer to your LAN port. So you can connect your LAN devices here as well. So if you will see guys, I'm not talking about the wireless router now. One more wireless access point we have already discussed. So we will take some access point here. So if you will see, one access point I have taken and I am going to take 1 or 2 laptops. Let's say 2 laptops I am going to take, and I am going to connect these 2 laptops with this access point. So basically over this access point I have as such no other configurations, but it is simply going to act like a switch as I have already discussed with you. So on this PC laptop we are going to go in the desktop and PC wireless. So it is saying that a wireless interface card is required to connect for the wireless signals, but I don't have the wireless NIC card here. So how we are going to attach the wireless NIC card? So we'll go in the physical, we'll just zoom in and see, I'm going to turn off this laptop. Just scroll a bit here. This is your fast Ethernet NIC card, which is your wired NIC. I'm just gonna drag and drop. Now there is no NIC card. This WPC300N, here you can see the link says WPC module provides 1.24 GHz wireless interface. So I'm simply gonna drag and drop this, and I'm going to turn on the port, and now we'll go in the desktop and PC wireless. See, there is a connectivity established with the access point here. If I want to connect the same laptop using the wireless NIC card, just simply drag and drop and select the wireless NIC card, turn on your laptop, desktop, PC wireless. So now you can see there is the reachability between the access point and between the 2 laptops here. So this is how your access point is going to work. It is going to connect all of your wireless devices like a switch do in the network, like in a wired network the switch do. This in the same way this access point is going to do all these configurations for you. Now coming back to the wireless router which we were discussing in our slide. So see guys, I'm going to take one wireless router here. So in the wireless devices, this is my wireless router here, and I am going to select this. See, now we got the connectivity established with the wireless router, and we will go in the laptop. We'll go in the IP configurations, and you can see that here we are automatically getting the IP address. Like I have not done anything. I have not configured any DHCP server over the router or anything like that. So what is the IP which we are getting is 192.168.0.101, and then like 192.168.0.1. So we are going to take the access of this router using the default gateway. So my default gateway is 192.168.0.1. So we'll just simply close this and we'll go in the web browser, and we are going to write the gateway 192.168.0.1. So now it is asking me for the authorization. So in the authorization, what are the, like in packet tracer, if you are going to work on the wireless devices, you will see that admin is the username and admin is the password. So once you are going to write, you will see that from this laptop you got the graphical user interface of this router, because this is not a wired router which needs to be connected via the wires and all the things like we usually do in the packet tracer, but this is a wireless router. So with this wireless router, you can see that what are the configurations we are going to do here. So as per the default written notes which we have discussed over this slide, I will show you what SSID is and where you will be configuring the SSID, what is the LAN subnet, what are the WAN interfaces, and where is the netting enabled. So for that, I'm simply going to remove these. Just let's go on the laptop first. Let's verify the points. See, internet connection type. I told you there are 3 types of internet connection, like the WAN interface we are talking about. The first we have is the automatic DHCP configuration, if your internet service provider has given you some DHCP configurations. The second we have is the static IP. So if you are going to select the static IP, so you need to execute the static IP here on the devices, and after that you need to execute the subnet mask and the default gateway accordingly. But if you are going to select the point-to-point over Ethernet, so you need to have some username and password. Like in most of the scenarios, our internet service providers are using this triple PoE. So over my real device also, you will see here once I logged out, so I am getting some username and password because my internet connection type like ISP has not given me any static or dynamic IP, whereas my internet service provider has given me some username and password here. So this is how the triple PoE works, but we are going to let it default the DHCP, and you can see the DHCP server enabled is like it is enabled by default. You can also disable, and the starting IP address is 192.168.0.100. So that is the reason we are getting the IP of 0.101 on this PC, and you will check the IP on this laptop. So you will see here we have 0.100. We are going to change the DHCP settings as well. So we are going to select our laptop, and in the graphical user interface we will see like the starting IP will be 0.5. So the starting IP, like any device is going to request for the DHCP server. So after completing the DORA process, our first client machine is going to get the IP of 192.168.0.5. Then if you will go and check the DHCP reservations, in this DHCP reservations, you can see this is like the service sets here, which we have connected 2 devices. So you can see 0.100 and 0.101. And if you will verify the MAC addresses of these devices, so you can also reserve these addresses with those particular IP and so many things like that, which we discuss in the CCNP and core and CCNA trainings, like how exactly these things are going to work. So if you want to read more about the DHCP reservations, you can visit our blog, and over there our blog is written for DHCP reservation. But as of now, this is not the part to discuss. But if you want to note down that part, so you can go through with our blog, so you can get more in detail over there. So this is what basically the DHCP servers and the basic configurations which we have talked about, right? So this is how the wireless devices are going to work. Coming back to the next thing, I am simply going to remove these laptops as of now, and I am going to configure some new SSID on this router. So we'll click on the router, and in the graphical user interface, and you will see like we are going to select the wireless part here. So now you can see the network name, and it is representing as your SSID. So by default the network name is default, so I'm going to change the network name as PyNet Labs. So this is my network name, PyNet Labs, and I'm going to save the configurations. So let's wait to save the configurations. So I have saved the configurations. I'll go in the setup, and the starting IP I'm also going to change to 0.1, and the default gateway I have written is okay. So let's say 0.100 will be the default gateway, and maximum number of users you want to assign to the DHCP is your 50. So we are going to save these settings as well. Now if you will see, let's discuss the rest of the part about the wireless devices, because this is what the basic wireless implementation which we have discussed as of now. So when you are going to read more in detail about these wireless implementations, so we will see that how exactly we are going to secure your wireless network, because securing the wireless network is the most important part, because implementations and whatever the configurations we are doing, anybody can do that, but the important part here is to secure your wireless network. So we can write securing wireless networks. So as per securing the wireless network, so we need some encryptions, right? So there are some encryptions which are used for securing the wireless network. So we have WPA, we have WPA2, which are commonly used, and there was one more which was considered as WEP, but we are not going to use WEP in today's scenario. So guys, see, like, let me give you a quick brief introduction on this on these encryptions of wireless networks. So let's create a table. Let's say we have some encryptions. So in the encryptions, we have the first is WEP, the second we have is WPA, and the third we have is WPA2. And after these encryptions, we have some protocols which are used for these encryption standards. So we can write protocols. So the protocol which is used in WEP is nothing but it is going to use the WEP, which was introduced around 1999. And this WPA is going to use a protocol which is known as TKIP protocol, temporarily key integrity protocol. And this WPA2 is something like a very advanced version. It is also going to support the TKIP, plus as well as it is also going to support CCMP protocol. Now we have some cipher, like what cipher text these protocols like are going to use with some algorithms. So it is going to use the RC4 cipher. This TKIP is also going to use the RC4 cipher, and whereas this CCMP protocol or this WPA2 is going to support the AES encryption, which is considered as your advanced encryption standard. So this is how we are going to select all these protocols, and let me tell you the full forms as well. So if you are asking me the full form of CCMP, so it stands for counter code with cipher clock. It's cipher clock chaining message authentication code protocol. So this is the full form of your CCMP, and if you are asking me the full form of TKIP, so this TKIP is going to stand for temporarily key integrity protocol. And this WEP stands for wired equivalent privacy. This WPA stands for Wi-Fi protected access, and this WPA2 is basically, we can say, the enhanced version of your WPA. So these are some wireless networks which we are these are some encryption methods through which we can use we can secure the wireless networks. So now coming to the next part, guys, we will see how exactly and where we are going to use this encryption methods, and how exactly we are going to use these encryption methods, and what and where how these encryptions method plays the role. So we will see now, before selecting the encryption method, guys, you must be aware about that all the devices must support the authentication and encryption method which you are applying to the devices. So for that there are two versions, this WPA and WPA2 we are going to discuss right now. So these WPA and WPA2 comes in two variants, so we can write like this. So here you can see we have WPA, which comes in two variants, and this WPA2 is also there, which also comes in two variants, which you will see. So here if you will write, this WPA comes with the first variant, which is PSK, and the next we have is the enterprise, and here also we have pre-shared key PSK, WPA2 PSK, and we have the another variant is your enterprise. So now we will see the difference between the PSK and what is the difference between the enterprise version. So if you will see guys, like normally whenever we want to connect to the wireless devices, so let's talk about the PSK first. In both of the scenarios, PSK is same, pre-shared key. So PSK stands for pre-shared key. Now if you will be talking about this pre-shared key guys, like if you will see, like let me show you on a real device. So here you will see that first of all, this is my Wi-Fi to which I am connected is searching. If I want to connect to this Airtel 5G, and I am going to click on this connect button, which I am not going to do now, but yes, you can also try in your machines. Whenever you got some SSID in your networks, then you will see that this name comes over there, and when you are going to click on the connect button, you will it is going to prompt you for the password, right? So whenever it is going to ask you for the password, which means like it is something we can say that that means that it is a pre-shared key, which is like configured over the wireless router. But you know, in some of the scenarios, if you guys have seen, like if you are working in enterprise networks or in some of the organizations, this is like widely being seen, which is your enterprise version. So in this enterprise version, if we are talking about, so this enterprise version, you know, it requires a radius server. So in this radius server, we are going to see how exactly we can you know, configure all these devices, and you know that instead of asking the password when you are going to click on the SSID. So let's differentiate between the PSK and enterprise version. So if you are going to select this SSID, let's say Airtel 5G I want to connect to. So once you are going to click on the connect button, so it is going to ask you for the password. So the way it is asking for the password is known as your pre-shared key. Whereas if in the enterprise version you are there, so you have seen that instead of asking the password, it is going to ask you for the username and the password. So like there are some specific users which are assigned on the radius server. So over the radius server, we are going to execute some users like user 1 with the password, let's say 123, some user 2 for the password 345, like this. Some specific users we are going to create on the radius server, and that radius server is connected to your wireless networks, and then like all the authenticated users which are authorized to get the access in the wireless network, they are the only one who are allowed to get the access, else no one else is allowed to take the access. Now we will see how we are going to secure these wireless networks in your packet tracer. So now we are going to check out in the packet tracer. So this is my wireless router, and I am going in the wireless router, and after going in the wireless router, all these basically functions are there which we have already discussed. Now we will see that how exactly we are going to secure the wireless devices with some practical labs and whatever the encryptions we have discussed over the PowerPoint slides. So now let me show you the encryption standard. So we are going to click on the security. Okay, so we'll go in the wireless setup, and you will see that the network name we have configured is PyNet Labs. We are going to go in the wireless security. So security mode, as you can see, it is disabled here, but if you are going to enable it, see, these are the things which we discussed over the slides: wireless wired equivalent privacy, WPA personal means PSK, pre-shared key. So in the real devices you can also get an option like PSK, which is pre-shared key. So if you are going to select this WPA personal, it is asking you for the passphrase, means that this is the password which you need to enter whenever you are going to connect to the PyNet Labs wireless network. And the encryption standard, it is going to use either AES or TKIP, which you want to use. So that is your personal call. And if you will go in the WPA2 personal, the same thing are there, AES and TKIP, and the password is there. But if you are going to select the enterprise version here, so in this enterprise version you need to have a radius server, which I have already told you. So how we are going to write the IP here, like you need to execute the radius server IP, the password to get the access of the radius server, and apart from that, like you need to create some users over the radius server. But we are not going to see this lab. So this WPA2 personal we are going to click, and we are going to add some password. So let's say I am writing the password as PYNET Labs @3211. This is my password, as you can see here, PyNet Labs @3211. So I'm going to save the settings, and let's save the settings, and we will go in the devices and we will get some wireless devices. So this is my laptop, which I am going to connect to this router with wireless signals, and we'll go in the desktop PC wireless. So there is no NIC, we'll write the NIC here. So we have added the NIC card, which is WPC300N, and we are going to see, now we'll go in the laptop and we will go in the desktop PC wireless, and we will see like in the connect option. So here we are going to see which wireless signals we are going to get here. So see, as per the configurations, I have configured a wireless SSID, which is by the name of PyNet Labs here, and the channel 1 is there, and signal it is getting 100%, right? And security mode also it is showing that WPA2 PSK is there, as you can see. So this WPA2 PSK is there, that is the security which we have configured here. So let me just zoom out, and if you will see that I'm going to connect to this PyNet Labs wireless network. So I'm going to select this PyNet Labs and click on connect. So now it is asking me for the pre-shared key, the PSK. So the password which I entered was PyNet Labs @3211. This was the password which I have entered in the wireless router, PyNet Labs 3211, and I'm going to write connect. So see, I got the connection established with the wireless router. One more wireless device we can take here, and let's change the NIC card here. So just drag and drop the fast Ethernet and connect the WPC, and I am going to turn on my laptop, desktop PC wireless, and we're going to connect to the wireless SSID, which is your PyNet Labs. So this is PyNet Labs connect. The pre-shared key was PyNet Labs @3211. Connect. Now we are connected to the devices here. Both of the devices are connected to your wireless router here, and we are going to connect this laptop here, and you will see in the IP configurations it's 192.168.0.1 now. Previously when we checked, we were getting some IP of like 192.168.0.100, but right now, as we have changed the configuration, 0.100 is now acting as your default gateway, and 0.1 is your IP address here, right? So now we will check the communication. So here we have 192.168.0.1, and over this laptop we would be having some 0.2. So as you can see, so we'll try to check the communication. So we'll write ping 192.168.0.1. So as you people can see that we are connected and we are also getting the replies. So this is all about your wireless configuration, securing the wireless parts, like how you are going to put some encryptions in the wireless devices, what are your wireless LAN terminologies, what is SSID, what are encryptions, and what are the encryption variants, and which cipher they use, what are the standards. So these are as per the webinar topics. We have covered almost everything. I hope everything is fine to everyone, and any other queries you people have. So just please let me know in the chat box. I'll be there to help you out with your queries.